Greetings and welcome to Education and More's Learn Python 3 Programming at a Snail's Pace. My name is Marcus Gardner and I'll be the instructor for this course. In today's video, we're going to learn about substrings. Now, substrings, just like it sounds like, it's just a small part of a string. Okay? Now, this will be very important, especially when you start grabbing data from the internet. Okay? Or think about when you grab mail, okay? When you grab an email, if you've ever looked at the contents of a mail, you're going to find, you got your to, you got your subject, and all this kind of stuff. Well, there's actually more stuff in front of it that you don't see, okay? Well, when you grab the data, later on we'll show you how to do that. You're going to need to find where the actual mail message begins. Okay, you don't want all the headers and stuff. So once you find where that mail message begins, then you'll want to grab the rest of that information. Well, that information, of course, the whole thing is captured in strings. So you'll want to grab where you want to start and then go from there. Now, we're actually going to do that using what's called the find method. Okay, but we're not going to talk about the find method in here. Okay, but we're just going to introduce substrings to you in this one. Make sure you understand how to use them. It was very tricky for me. Okay, there was a couple little things that really threw me when I was learning substrings. So that's why I'm not going to throw in find also. I'm going to let you try it. Make sure you understand how to work the substrings before we throw in find. Okay? There are some little caveats, so we'll discuss those as we go along. Okay, here we go. So you take any string, and then you have bracket A, which is optional, colon B, which is optional, colon C, which is usually optional. Okay, so what do these mean? Okay, the A is your starting point. And remember, for strings, the starting point is 0 usually. Okay, but it doesn't have to be. The B is the ending point. But don't forget, just like our range function, we never reach the ending point. Okay? And then the C is this step. For example, if we have a step of 1, which is what the default is, and that means go next letter, next letter, next letter, next letter. If default is 2, then it skips a letter. Okay, but normally you don't see 2, 3, etc. Normally you see 1 or -1. -1 just means go backwards. For example, if you had COW, cow, if you went backwards, you would have WOC. Okay, so most of the time you are going to see just the first 2 items. Okay, in a real business application, okay, when you're not doing puzzles or when you're not doing, competitions, you'll probably never see the C part. Okay, I can't think of a reason why you would use the C part in a real business type situation. Now, there may be, okay, I just can't think of one. I have not seen one. Now, for competitions, yes, okay. But I'm going to show you the C part as well as the rest. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Let's say you have my name stored in a variable called name. Okay, so if I wanted to print 2 to 4, this will print RK. Why? Because M is 0, A is 1, and R is 2. So it's going to go 2. Now the K is 3, I is 4, but remember, we don't reach the ending point, okay? Just like our range. So this will just print RK. Now, if you remember, I hope you do, if we tried printing name bracket 50, we're going to get an error. We get an index out of range or something like that, kind of type of error, okay? It just says, hey, you can't reference it. Well, this is one of the tricky parts that kind of threw me for a loop. if that's not allowed, why is this allowed? Okay. You say go from 0 to 50. Well, it's just going to print Marcus and stop. Okay. It's not going to print Marcus and a bunch of spaces. Okay. And it doesn't give us an error. You know, when I was first learning this, I thought, hey, I get an error for this. Why don't I get an error for this? Okay. I don't know what the creators were thinking, but it's just something that, you know, it happens. All right, so let me show you. All right, I already got lesson 15.py. So let's say name is equal to Marcus. Print name bracket 0 colon 50. And just so you know that there's no extra spaces being added on, I'm going to add loves to teach. Okay? All right. So it should have Marcus, 1 space, loves to teach. Even though this looks like it would add like, you know, 40 some odd characters extra, but it doesn't. Okay. So let's see, open a command. Python lesson 15.py. Okay. Now, this is a perfect example of where trying can help you learn. Okay. You know, instead of asking, okay, Marcus, what does this do? Hey, we're going to try it. Okay. So it's things like this where actually just giving it a try is great. Okay? This is why programming is one of the few fields that you can do well without going to university. Okay? And it's easy. For example, let's say you want to be a biologist. Okay? Well, to be a good biologist, you're going to need to do some dissecting. Maybe you can dissect some worms, maybe a frog, but it's going to be harder to dissect some other things by yourself. And plus, you know, it's really hard to get those tools. And if you want to be a doctor, well, they kind of frown on you practicing with real patients or trying to get your own cadavers. Sorry. Okay? You can't become a nuclear scientist working from your home. Okay? Sorry, plutonium is not available for us mere citizens, okay? So, many fields, most fields, you cannot just do from home. Whereas being a programmer, it is very possible for someone to get a great job, you know, making 6 figures without going to college. It's very possible. So, a quick question. Why would you want to go to college if you are a great programmer and knew you could get a lot of money? The only reason is, what if you get tired of programming? What if you want to be a manager or own your own company? Okay? That's the reason why you want a college degree. Okay? Because with a college degree, or don't even really need a college degree, maybe take business classes. Okay? Also some writing classes. You know, if you're going to be a owner, you're going to need to write out specifications. Okay? You need to be a good writer. So, programming is one of the few fields where you don't need a lot of universities, you know, skills, classes rather. Okay? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. Okay? It's a personal choice for you, but it's a possibility. All right. So, let's continue. Now, let me go ahead and show you. Now, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if I do 0 to 5, I get everything but the S. Oh, I don't like that. I like to kiss, so I want that S there. Okay. And there we go. No S. Very sad. All right. Next. I already told you, so let's go ahead and show you. that this will mean go backwards. All right. Well, let's see what happens when I do this. Okay. Again, one would think that this is okay. So let's give it a try. It didn't do anything. Well, why? Well, think about that. Can you think of the reason before I tell you? Well, if you need more time, press pause. You're starting at 0, going to 50, and going backwards. Well, think about math. If you wanted to count from 0 to 50 going backwards, well, starting at 0, you go -1, -2, -3. Okay? So we need to start at the 50 and go to the 0. All right, now watch what happens here. Save. We think it might work, right? Okay, this also got me, when I first started learning, okay? It didn't put it in the M. Why? Because it doesn't reach this. So I said, what in the world? But anyway, so how do we get the M? Well, we just take out that part. And now it will go all the way through. Okay? See, did I save it? Yes. And there we are. Marcus backwards. Okay? Now, could we remember before when we did the range and we wanted to get up to the end, we could add 1. Well, can we do this? Can we go 50 down to 0 to -1? Would that work? Let's find out. Nope. It doesn't like it. Why? Because -1 here is the S, okay? But again, we are counting down from 50 to -1. So it won't show the S. If I put -2 here, now all I'll get is an S. Why is that? Because again, 50 is way out here. Going to go down, 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 down. Okay, this is the same thing as -1. This one is -2. Okay, but we're not going to reach -2. There we go. There's our S. Okay. Honestly, this is confusing. Okay. It was to me. Okay. If you don't think this is confusing, great. But it was to me. I'm being honest. Okay. That's why I did a whole bunch of homework, and that's why I'm giving you a lot of homework. Okay. I'm going to actually show it on the slides here, but I'll also put it on a text file so you can just scrape and put it into your Python file so you can do the homework. Okay. All right. So let's go on. So what we could do, here are some examples. We could start out with a number and then put no ending. So that will start wherever you tell it and just keep going all the way to the end. We could leave the beginning empty and we go until the number, except it will go 1 less. So it will start at the beginning and go all the way 1 less. This one will go from the beginning to the end, but it will go in reverse. So let me show you this one, and see what actually this one does. Okay? All right, so I am going to choose the number 4 here. So print name bracket 4 colon colon -1. Okay? So what do you think will happen here? Okay? What will it do? Okay. So try to give it a guess before I show you the answer. Okay, put it on pause. I'm getting ready to do it. Okay. You should know. I've already told you what it should be doing. Okay. Okay. Marquee backwards. Okay, where's 4? This is 0. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. So here's our I. Okay, so it does the I and then it goes backwards. K-R-A-M. And it shows the M because I don't have a 0 here. Okay? All right. Next. This one. Nothing to start and going to A but -1. Okay, will that cause us any problems? Well, let's see what happens. Print name. I'm also going to start with 4. I'm sorry, end with 4. -1. Okay. Let's see. I got to 2 colons. Yes. All right. Okay. So we have S. Okay. Well, why? Now, normally this is 0. I mean, the default. But because we're going in reverse, it's actually going to be the -1 spot or the ending spot. Okay? And 4, of course, is I, so it's not going to get there. So that's why we got our S. Okay? So, think about it this way. We normally read left to right. So, if there's nothing here in the beginning, it's 0 by default. You know, we're going to start at the beginning of the word. But what do you do if you're going to go backwards? If you're going to go backwards, you don't want to start here. Okay? It doesn't make sense to have the default to be 0 when you're going to go this way. Okay? So in this case, the default is going to be -1, okay, or the length of the name, or the string you're using, okay? So it's going to start at the end and then go this way. All right? Okay. So remember, the default is 0 if it's going this way. The default is -1 if it's going this way. Okay? All right. Now, what do you think this does? What in the world? Colon, colon, -1. Okay? Well, let's look at it. Now, what did I say? Let's see here. This is normally 0, and this will be all the way to the end of the string. Okay? But it's -1, so in reverse. So this is going to be the end of the string, and this is going to be the beginning of the string. But it will also include the beginning of the string because I don't put 0 here. Okay? So that's what it should do. So let me show you. And there we go. All right. Marcus in reverse. Okay? All right. Okay. Here are some practice ones. Let's just consider this part of your homework. Okay? Before we get to that, I want to show you, let's see, where is my, there it is. Like I said, I can't imagine you doing this in a business situation, okay? But let me just show you what this does. Now again, the colon will just print Marcus, okay? It'll be the same as if you didn't even have these brackets, okay? But the 2 will skip every other one. So let's just show you. So there is M, it skips the A, there's the R, it skips the K, there's the I, and it's going to skip the S. All right? So I could do 3, and then it will print 1, skip 2, print 1, skip 2. Okay? All right. Same thing, you do -2 and go backwards by skipping. But again, I just can't imagine a real life business reason to do that with strings. Okay? I'll show you some other things with array, list, and other types of things where we might want to skip. But for strings, I just can't imagine. Okay? But anyway, that's how you do it. All right. So you need to be comfortable with strings. Now, normally when I teach, I never give much homework. But for something like this, I actually gave a lot of homework because it can be tricky. You need to be able to understand, what's going to happen, if the number is too small, too large, etc. Okay? And you need to be able to understand it well. You don't want to be going on a job interview and they ask you something like this and you're like, oh no, let's see, this goes here and then this is going to go backwards. Okay? You need to be able to say, oh, this is that, and you need to be able to show an air of confidence. So this is one of the rare exceptions where I do give a lot of homework, okay? Because it can be confusing, especially when you have the -1 and you're dealing with the negative numbers, okay? Because remember, going backwards or even going forwards, okay? You can actually reference it by -1, -2, -3. Let me actually show you that, okay? So, can I do this from 0 to -2? All right. Now, mathematically, I can't do this because if I'm going to the right, I can't get to the left. Let's see what our Python says about this. Okay? It says it's fine because this is -1, this is -2. It didn't reach it, so it just did the, first 4 characters. Because to Python, this K has 2 meanings. It has the meaning of 3 and, I'm sorry, let's look at this I, okay? This I has the meaning of 2 meanings, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and -2. So it doesn't matter whether you put -2 or 4 here, okay? It is the same. So that's why it can go from 0 to -2 with this. Okay? Let's just make sure that it didn't change. Okay? See? I got the same answer. Mark. All right? So, it can be confusing. So I threw in lots of negatives. Okay? I needed to make sure that you can be able to do this fluently and with an air of confidence. But please, don't be like most of my students. Too much homework. I don't want to do it. Okay? This is why when I teach algebra and I go into factoring, I always give 100 problems of factoring. because you need to be able to do it well. None of my students do it. Even though all year round, I only give, 5, 7 problems of math for homework. For that one homework assignment, I said, this is the only time you need to be able to do 100 problems because it's so important. Okay? I can factor a trinomial faster than probably anybody because of the way I studied. I did 100 of those problems. Okay? None of my students will follow my steps. None. So, if you want to do well on something that is confusing, you need to do it over and over. Okay? This to me is confusing, or was confusing. Okay? For you to do well, something like this, you want to do a lot of problems. Okay? So, just remind yourself, what's your goal? If your goal is to get a great job, then please do all the homework. If your goal is to just learn Python so you can pass the Python class in university, then move on. Then just pick a few. Okay? So, determine what your goal is, set your mind to it, and then do it. Because you need to be able to be comfortable doing Python programming. Okay? And there are going to be things that are confusing, and I will ask you to do many of them. Okay? And this is one of them. At least I found it confusing. All right. Hopefully you don't. But let's just assume the worst. So please do all the homework. And I will actually put it on the website here so you can just copy, paste, and then find out what the answers are. Okay? But before you get the answers, what you should do is take a piece of paper and write down what you think the answers are. Okay? That's the best way to learn. Write down what the answers are, find out what the answers are, mark which ones you got wrong, and then understand why did you get it wrong. Okay? Don't do like some of my students. Oh, that's the answer. Okay. You wouldn't believe how many students do that. All right. Anyway, enjoy. Make sure you understand how to do that well. And then look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.